Hi, here's Michael Yander. I'm at the DMAI in New Delhi in India. This is the third day of what has been a fantastic convention. For me as a person, I think it's been fantastic because I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of really interesting people here this year. And I'm with one of these interesting people right now. His name is LK, and so without further ado, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, and we're going to have an interesting conversation about marketing and e-commerce and such things. So LK, why don't you tell us who you are, what your background is?
Well, good morning, and so fantastic to be here and with you, Michael. And just to introduce myself briefly, L K Gupta. And I've been working with RedBus.in. RedBus is I've been working here for the last 1 year, and it's a e-commerce company involved in selling bus tickets online. And the company pretty much pioneered the structured industry that we see nowadays for bus ticketing in India, and indeed probably one of a unique model in across the world actually. So it's been hugely successful. And I came in here to start and head up the marketing function. Before that, I was pretty much in the conventional consumer products marketing space. I was with LG Electronics for a good 5 odd years, and before that with Gillette and P&G. So it's a huge change for me. My learning curve has gone up tremendously in the last 1 year. So a fantastic industry to be in, and really looking forward to a lot more action on this front, because I truly believe that e-commerce, digital marketing, direct marketing, these are the future of marketing, and everybody must acclimatize and change and adopt these new practices. So really happy to be here with you, Michael.
And me too, to be here with you, because you're an accomplished person, and that's why I want to ask you a little bit about RedBus, and what were you thinking when you started working with RedBus in terms of the whole branding aspects, but also in particular in terms of changing Indian consumers' behavior from the traditional offline brick and mortar kind of scenario to a more self-serviced online scenario?
Well, you see, e-commerce or offering the same services that you get offline, which consumers used to, and getting people to convert into adoption of online buying specifically is a laborious process, and India is just about getting started. And we know that about close to 150 to 200 million Indians are online, and but a lot of them actually don't purchase stuff online, and there are still some barriers, and the adoption will take a little more time. But I think we are on the brink of really huge swell of consumers now starting to come in with e-commerce. My thoughts basically this, that at a personal level, I really thought that this is the opportunity for the next decade. Okay, and any marketer who really wants to stay relevant, okay, has to somewhere or the other adopt greater number and greater frequency or higher levels of practices to do with e-commerce and digital marketing at a very, very overall level. So
thought you might come.
RedBus before I had come on board had already shown a lot of promise and growth, and it had reached. One would say it was not a startup anymore. Actually, it was more like a small to medium-sized company already, and that had happened by sheer brilliance of the product and the problem that it solved for the consumer, and word of mouth. So the initial adoption had already started, and I think the company is poised for really establishing a mega brand as far as India is concerned. In fact, we number of times we get emails and communication from people outside of India, from Far East, from even Germany or Brazil, where entrepreneurs want to learn from the RedBus experience because they see a similar problem to be solved when it comes to their country and their consumers. So it is definitely poised to become a mega brand, and that was the time when it was required that marketing as a discipline should come in a structured fashion. into the company.
Yeah.
And that's what excited me, because you really have a chance to, before I've always worked for mega companies, really, P&G, Gillette, LG Electronics. So there are some things that are given,
Yeah.
right? The brand is a given,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
overall structure of positioning, etc. So here was a chance that you start really a marketing practice and process and brand building from, I wouldn't say from scratch, but from a level where you can really build it from.
Yeah.
Okay. So that really excited me. And I think RedBus is well along the way now, because we've done a lot of things in the last 1 year, and we're going to do a lot more in the coming years. So that's really exciting.
So if you talk about the change in consumer behavior and dealing with those barriers, how did social media play a role for RedBus in that respect?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is that social was working for the brand even before we really started getting very active on social. So, like I said, even before marketing as a department came into the company, people were already recommending the brand. Okay, they were already talking about it, and especially in South India, where buses is pretty much a very established way of transport between cities and states.
So south, would that be south of Mumbai, or
yeah,
south?
that would be south of Mumbai, really.
Yeah.
So that would be the 4 states of South India,
Yeah.
and to some extent even Maharashtra, where Mumbai is. So social, without it being called social, was already playing a part.
Okay.
Because between peers and between people who have similar experiences, word of mouth was getting along. And mind you, that was without the company really doing much.
Yeah.
So in the last 1 year, I mean, when I came into the company, I saw there was a Facebook page for the company, for the brand, and there were already 500,000 people who were fans of the brand, and hardly any activation on social media at all. There was a Twitter handle which would sometimes, be used to maybe solve some queries and solutions given to people who had complaints. But besides these two, there was nothing. In fact, the folks at RedBus used to post maybe on Facebook once in a month, once in 2 months. And then we said, okay, so we've already got a good asset here.
Yeah,
So,
that's for sure.
So how about we activate it?
Yeah.
So we've basically built on that. So now we have close to 1 million fans on Facebook. So we took it from about 500,000 to 1 million. With a little bit of activation, you can do wonders, because people are there, they like you,
Yeah.
and they just want to see some action from you. They want to see some useful stuff coming their way. Okay, whether it is information, some level of engagement, contests, or promotions, new news,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. And so it really helped us along quite well in the last 12 months. But I must say that social was always alive. Whether we called it Facebook or social, whatever we call it, it was already there.
It was already there. So if we look at repeat business for a business like RedBus, how are you going about that? Are you trying to control that? Do you have programs in place for let's say nurturing and yeah?
Yes. So repeat businesses has been actually one of the milestones. I would say it's been, because it has been adopted without a lot of marketing push. Okay, repeat business has been very productive for us. Okay, I think the bigger challenge is for us to get a whole horde of new users.
Okay.
Because in any brand's life cycle, you get the initial adoption, and then you get initial rising curve, and then sooner or later that initial curve kind of plateaus out.
Yeah.
And then if you don't push it more for the next inflection of new users, then pretty much you're going to live with repeat users. So repeat usage is not a big problem. In fact, it is not a problem. We do have programs in place, and we've, like I said, that the big wonder about RedBus is that it went along, grew fine without a lot of marketing. In fact, without any marketing except for SEM, really. So when we looked at the whole situation last year, we said that, listen, we have to promote repeat usage as well as get new users. Why? Because when a successful company is established in online industry, then you start getting a lot of Me Toos. And there are about now 4 or 5 other similar kind of portals who get the same inventory from the same bus operators. and they are also able to get some traction. Yeah, maybe they are 1/5 our size, 1/10 our size, but sooner or later they're going to start chipping away at some level of consumers that you have built up.
Yeah.
Right. So we said that retention and repeat purchase is going to be an important part. So we put together a pretty, I would say that I'm very happy with my tech team for that, because it's all built in-house. So we've got an entire emailing engine which is actually identifying people right from the first purchase and shooting them communication offers customized to the segment that they belong to. So we've created something like 60 odd segments, and as the moment they make a purchase, it triggers off the queue, and people get communication from us. So this is something that the Indian techies do so well. They just see, you just have to explain to them the marketing problem, and those guys are heroes. They just say, okay, can be done, and 15 days later you have an engine ready. So we are doing some kind of structured programs to make sure that we get repeat buying fairly frequently. Now the big question is, where are the new users coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, so where's the next 2 million?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
as
a
in 2 million customers, you mean?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
And I think you just made a lot of friends when you said that the tech guys are heroes, and I actually happen to agree with that. I don't think they get enough credit for what they do in terms of marketing automation and so on.
Yeah.
But just a couple of more questions, and one thing is the acquisition. What do you see? I'm assuming that you cannot allow yourself a very high acquisition cost per new customer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not challenged by that?
Yes.
That you can't afford more than maybe a fraction of what other type of e-commerce businesses
That's true.
can.
That's true. Especially because our long-term value, if you look at it, I mean, we calculate long-term value for a year, for 2 years, and 4 years, and so on. We are a low-margin business.
Yes.
So you cannot afford to spend too much for acquisition unless you're pretty sure that the customer is going to pay you back at least in the 2-year time frame, if not 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially in a competitive scenario where you don't even know that you acquire someone and where he's going to go next, because the market is flooded with offers. You just Google bus tickets online, and you're going to find people giving 10% off, people giving 100 rupees off, and so on and so forth. So it is always a tricky business of saying how much you want to spend on acquisition vis-a-vis how much repeat business are you going to get.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a tricky one. At this point in time, we do feel a little adventurous.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do want, because you see, we are like about 60% of the bus ticketing online market. So if we don't build the market, I don't think anybody else is really going to have the wherewithal or the intention. Well, the easiest thing for our competition is to steal from RedBus, because they are starting from a very low level.
Yeah.
So to please their VCs, they're going to basically say, hey, there's a ready bunch of people buying from RedBus. Let's just steal from
that
there.
Could actually be their business plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the market development really is the leader's job.
Yeah.
And new acquisition, therefore, at this point in time, we might face a bit of a sticky wicket in terms of increasing costs.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to do the job.
Yeah, that's very true. So the last question I have is, if you looked at that industry 5 years from now, where do you think you stand in terms of the percentage of bus travelers who would be comfortable purchasing tickets online?
Okay, for this, let's look at the parallel of flight booking.
Yes.
And flight booking is pretty much an established practice as far as online booking is concerned. And as of today, about 30% of all flight bookings is done online by consumers.
Okay, I didn't know.
So
and in India, are you talking about global?
This is India. This is India. No, I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
So bus ticketing in general, I mean, it's India which is the most relevant market. Like I said, that even in many other countries, people are going to trying to emulate RedBus now, because this is a unique model.
Yeah.
So in 5 years' time, I would say that we hope and expect, and we'll work towards it, that we should at least reach 30 to 40% of bus travelers booking tickets online.
Wow.
Because right now the number is maybe around 10% people.
Okay.
10% of tickets of bus tickets are actually purchased online.
Yeah.
And imagine this, that this 10% has happened because of the early adoption by your power users over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So this 10% to go to 30% will take some doing,
Yeah,
because that's the next wave of the followers who are going to come in and adopt. So that's going to be a much more of a harder push. So we are hoping that in 5 years' time, 30 to 40%.
Oh, that would be amazing. I wish
That would be amazing, because it will be great for the industry.
Absolutely. And for bus travelers.
Oh yes,
hopefully.
absolutely.
So thank you so much for that. It was very interesting.
My pleasure.
To you watching, if you want to know more about the story, about RedBus, e-commerce in India, and so try to follow the links that you'll see somewhere here. There should be a link to LK's LinkedIn profile as well, and maybe Twitter account if you want to hook up with him. And that's it. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and wishing you a great day today and all the other days. Ciao.